The day started like any other on Earth. Children laughed as they walked to school, parents rushed to work, and the world spun on its axis, unaware of the horror about to unfold. High above the planet, hidden from human eyes, the Galactic Council's massive ships appeared out of nowhere. They had been watching Earth for centuries, and today they had come to make a terrible decision. Commander Zack 7, a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms, stood on the bridge of the lid ship. His large black eyes showed no emotion as he gave the order. Begin the culling. In an instant, beams of bright light shot down from the ships. They swept across cities, towns, and villages all over the world. Where they touched, children simply vanished. One moment, playgrounds were full of happy kids. The next, they were empty and silent. Sarah Johnson, a teacher in New York, watched in horror as her students disappeared before her eyes. Tommy, Liza, she called out, her voice shaking, but there was no answer. Half of her class was gone. In Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka was walking his young daughter Yuki to school when it happened. He felt her small hand slip from his grasp. When he turned around, she was no longer there. Hiroshi fell to his knees, screaming Yuki's name. Similar scenes played out across the globe. Parents searched frantically for their children. Hospitals were flooded with panicked people. Government leaders struggled to understand what was happening. As the hours passed, the terrible truth became clear. Every child under the age of 12 had vanished. Millions of young lives, gone in the blink of an eye. World leaders gathered in an emergency meeting. U.S. President Elena Rodriguez, her face pale with shock, addressed the nation. My fellow Americans, today we face the greatest tragedy in human history. We are under attack by an alien force, and they have taken our children. But we will not rest until we find them and bring them home. But even as she spoke, Commander Zack 7 was making a chilling announcement to Earth. His face appeared on every screen worldwide, his alien features causing gasps of fear and anger. People of Earth, Zack 7 said, his voice cold and emotionless. The Galactic Council has judged your species and found you wanting. Your children have been removed to prevent the spread of your violent and destructive nature. This is not negotiable. Any attempt at retaliation will result in the complete destruction of your planet. The message ended, leaving Earth in stunned silence. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then, like a dam breaking, the emotions poured out. Grief turned to rage. Parents who had been weeping now clenched their fists in anger. The call for revenge echoed from every corner of the globe. In London, a grieving father named James Smith stood before a crowd of thousands. "They took my little Emma," he shouted, tears streaming down his face. "I say we make them pay. Who's with me?" The crowd roared in response, their cries for vengeance drowning out all other sounds. Military leaders from around the world gathered in secret. General Maria Chaves of Brazil spoke for many when she said, "We may be outgunned, but we are not defeated. We will find a way to fight back." Scientists worked around the clock, studying the alien technology from the brief attack. "If we can understand their weapons," Dr. Yuki Chen said, her eyes red from lack of sleep, "we might have a chance." As the first day came to an end, Earth was forever changed. Millions of empty beds would never again hold sleeping children. But in place of those innocent lives, a fire had been lit, a fire of determination, of rage, of the unquenchable human spirit. The Galactic Council had made a grave mistake. They thought they were preventing a threat. Instead, they had created one. Earth was not going to take this attack lying down. From the ashes of their grief, humans were rising, united in their demand for justice. The stars themselves seemed to dim that night, as if in mourning. But in secret labs, hidden bunkers, and government offices around the world, plans were already being made. Earth was going to war, and the Galactic Council would soon learn the true meaning of human vengeance. The sun rose on a changed world. Streets that should have been filled with the sound of children laughing on their way to school were eerily quiet. Parks and playgrounds stood empty, swings moving gently in the breeze, waiting for small hands that would never return. In New York City, Sarah Johnson sat in her empty classroom, staring at the little desks where her students should have been. Crayon drawings still hung on the walls, a painful reminder of the lives so cruelly taken. Sarah picked up a small teddy bear left behind by one of her students and hugged it tightly, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Across the ocean in Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka hadn't slept. He sat on his daughter Yuki's bed, clutching her favorite stuffed animal. His wife, Akiko, stood in the doorway, her face a mask of grief. "We must be strong," she said softly. "For Yuki." Hiroshi nodded, but the pain in his eyes was unbearable. All around the world, similar scenes played out. Families gathered around empty dinner tables, unable to eat, unable to speak. The weight of loss was too heavy to bear. In London, James Smith, the grieving father who had called for revenge, found himself thrust into the spotlight. News cameras followed him as he walked through the city, his face a mix of anger and determination. "We will not rest," he told reporters, his voice hoarse from shouting. "We will find a way to bring our children back and make those aliens pay." World leaders struggled to maintain order as grief turned to anger. Riots broke out in major cities, with people demanding action. In Paris, a crowd stormed the Élysée Palace, shouting for the president to declare war on the Galactic Council. President Elena Rodriguez of the United States addressed the nation again, her voice steady, but her eyes reflecting the pain felt by millions. "My fellow Americans, my fellow humans," she began, "we have suffered a loss beyond comprehension. But we must not let our grief turn us against each other. We must stand united in the face of this cosmic injustice." As she spoke, images flashed across screens worldwide. Candlelight vigils in town squares, makeshift memorials covered in toys and flowers, parents holding up pictures of their lost children. The world mourned as one. In secret, however, Earth's military leaders were already planning their response. General Maria Chaves of Brazil led a meeting of top commanders from around the globe. "We are outmatched technologically," she admitted, her face grim. "But we have something the Galactic Council doesn't understand: the strength of human will." Scientists worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of alien technology. Dr. Yuki Chen, leading a team of researchers, made a breakthrough. "We've detected traces of the energy used in the abduction," she announced, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. "If we can replicate it, we might be able to track where they took the children." This news spread like wildfire, rekindling hope in millions of hearts. People who had been paralyzed by grief now felt a spark of determination. If there was even a small chance of getting the children back, they would take it. Religious leaders of all faiths came together in an unprecedented show of unity. In Vatican City, the Pope led a multi-faith prayer service, calling for strength and wisdom in the face of this cosmic tragedy. As the day wore on, something shifted in the collective consciousness of humanity. The initial shock and grief began to harden into resolve. In every country, in every city, people began to prepare. They may not have had advanced alien technology, but they had something perhaps even more powerful: the unbreakable spirit of a species fighting for its future. In a small town in India, an old woman named Priya spoke to a gathering of her neighbors. "We have faced great trials before," she said, her voice strong despite her age. "We have survived plagues, wars, and natural disasters. We will survive this too. And we will show these aliens what it means to mess with Earth's children." Her words, translated and shared across social media, became a rallying cry. #WillSurvive started trending worldwide, a digital testament to humanity's resilience. As night fell once again, the Earth was a planet transformed. The grief was still there, a wound that would never fully heal. But alongside it now burned a fierce determination. In homes and halls of power alike, Plans were being made. The human race had been pushed to the brink, and now it was pushing back. The Galactic Council had sought to neutralize a threat. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, and as the stars came out, twinkling coldly in the night sky, Earth prepared for a battle that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. 1 week after the unthinkable attack, world leaders gathered in Geneva for an emergency summit. The Grand Assembly Hall, usually a place of measured diplomacy, now crackled with tension and barely contained fury. President Elena Rodriguez of the United States took the podium first. Her face, broadcast on screens worldwide, was a mask of grim determination. "We are here today," she began, her voice steady, "not just as leaders of nations, but as the voice of humanity. The Galactic Council has committed an act of unspeakable cruelty. They believed they could break us. They were wrong." As she spoke, images flashed on screens behind her: empty classrooms, grieving parents, and most stirringly, the faces of millions of lost children. "We will not rest," Rodriguez continued, her voice rising, "until every child is returned and those responsible are brought to justice." The assembly erupted in applause, a thunderous sound that echoed the sentiments of billions watching around the globe. Next to speak was Premier Lai Wei of China, his usual calm demeanor replaced by fierce intensity. "China stands ready to commit all of its resources to this fight," he declared. "We call upon every nation to do the same. This is no longer about individual countries. This is about the survival of our species." One by one, world leaders stepped forward, each pledging their nation's full support. Old rivalries were set aside in the face of this cosmic threat. For the first time in history, Earth truly spoke with one voice. As the summit progressed, military leaders presented their initial plans. General Maria Chavez, now heading a unified Earth Defense Force, laid out a bold strategy. "We must strike fast and strike hard," she said, her holographic display showing potential alien weak points. "Every moment we delay is a moment our children suffer." Dr. Yuki Chen, the scientist who had made the breakthrough in tracking the alien energy signature, presented her findings. "We believe the children are being held in a massive space station orbiting a distant star," she explained, pointing to a blinking dot on a star map. "If we can get there, we have a chance to save them." The magnitude of the challenge was clear. Earth had never sent a mission beyond its own solar system. Now it needed to cross vast stretches of space, face an advanced alien civilization, and somehow rescue millions of children. James Smith, the grieving father turned symbol of Earth's resistance, addressed the assembly. No longer just a voice of anger, he now spoke with purpose. "They thought taking our children would weaken us," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Instead, it has made us stronger than ever. We will cross the stars. We will find our children. And we will show the galaxy that humanity is a force to be reckoned with." His words sparked a new wave of determination. In the halls outside the main chamber, scientists and engineers were already working on designs for spacecraft capable of interstellar travel. Military strategists pored over every scrap of data on the Galactic Council's technology, looking for weaknesses to exploit. As news of the summit's resolution spread, the mood on Earth shifted. Grief was still present, a constant ache in the heart of every parent, every sibling, every friend of the lost children. But now, it was accompanied by a steely resolve. In cities around the world, recruitment centers were overwhelmed as volunteers lined up to join the newly formed Earth Defense Force. Factories that once produced cars and household goods were rapidly retooled to build components for spaceships and weapons. Hiroshi Tanaka, the father from Tokyo who had lost his daughter Yuki, found himself working alongside Dr. Chen, his knowledge of advanced robotics proving invaluable in developing new defense systems. Sarah Johnson, the New York teacher, now led a team creating educational programs to prepare Earth's remaining youth for the challenges ahead. As the summit drew to a close, a final resolution was passed unanimously. Earth would not only defend itself but would take the fight to the Galactic Council. The loss of the children would be avenged, and humanity would claim its place among the stars. President Rodriguez, in her closing speech, captured the spirit of this new era. Today, we are no longer just citizens of Earth. We are the defenders of humanity, the protectors of our future. The Galactic Council thought they could break us. Instead, they have forged us into something stronger than they could have ever imagined. As night fell on Geneva, the delegates departed with a sense of purpose. The path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but for the first time since the attack, there was hope. Earth was going to war, not just for vengeance, but for the very future of humanity. Across the planet, as news of the summit's decision spread, people looked to the stars with new eyes. Ho's distant points of light were no longer just objects of wonder. They were beacons, guiding humanity towards its lost children and towards a destiny that would reshape the galaxy. In the months following the Geneva summit, Earth underwent a transformation unlike anything in human history. The entire planet buzzed with activity, united in a single purpose: to rescue the stolen children and bring the Galactic Council to justice. The skies above every major city were filled with the skeleton frames of massive spaceships under construction. These weren't the clunky rockets of old, but sleek vessels designed to slip between the stars. Dr. Yuki Chen, working with a global team of scientists, had reverse-engineered elements of the alien technology used in the attack. "We've made a breakthrough," Dr. Chen announced at a press conference, her eyes glowing with excitement despite her obvious exhaustion. "By combining our quantum technology with what we've learned from the alien energy signatures, we've developed an engine capable of faster-than-light travel." The news sent ripples of hope across the world. Humanity now had a way to reach the distant star system where their children were believed to be held. Meanwhile, military training centers sprung up on every continent. General Maria Chaves oversaw the creation of the Earth Defense Force, EDF, a unified military unlike anything the world had seen before. In a vast underground facility in the Australian outback, recruits from every nation trained side by side. Sarah Johnson, the former New York teacher, now found herself instructing young soldiers in alien psychology and potential weaknesses. "Remember," she told a class of eager cadets, "the Galactic Council underestimated us once. They thought taking our children would break us. We'll use that arrogance against them." Hiroshi Tanaka, the grieving father from Tokyo, had become a key figure in developing new combat robots. His creations, humanoid machines piloted remotely, would be humanity's frontline troops in the coming war. Each robot, Hiroshi explained to a group of engineers, is a promise to our lost children, a promise that we're coming for them. As Earth prepared for war, it also had to defend itself. The threat of another Galactic Council attack loomed large. In response, a global shield project was initiated. James Smith, once just a grieving father, now headed this crucial endeavor. Standing atop a massive generator in the Sahara Desert, he addressed a crowd of workers and reporters. "This shield," he said, pointing to the shimmering energy field slowly spreading across the sky, "is not just a defense. It's a statement. It says that Earth is no longer an easy target. We will not be victims again." The shield wasn't the only defense. Hidden bases on the Moon and Mars were established, ready to launch counterattacks should Earth itself be compromised. But perhaps the most ambitious project was taking place in orbit. The Ark, a massive space station designed to preserve human culture and knowledge, was under construction. Should the worst happen, it would ensure that humanity and its history would survive. President Elena Rodriguez toured the Ark as it neared completion. Floating in zero gravity, she ran her hand along a wall covered in children's drawings, a memorial to those lost and a reminder of what they were fighting for. "This is not just a war for our children," she said, her words broadcast to billions below. "It's a war for our future, for our very existence as a species." As the day of reckoning approached, a mix of fear and anticipation gripped the planet. In homes and factories, in schools and laboratories, Humans worked tirelessly towards their goal. Farmers worked extra shifts to stockpile food. Doctors developed new medicines to combat unknown alien diseases. Artists created works to boost morale and remind everyone of the beauty they were fighting to preserve. Even children too young to remember their lost siblings played their part. In playgrounds and classrooms, they trained on simulators, preparing for a future among the stars. As the first of Earth's new warships prepared for its maiden voyage, a ceremony was held. Representatives from every nation gathered to christen the EDF Avenger, humanity's first faster-than-light-capable warship. General Chaves stood before the gleaming hull, her uniform crisp, her eyes fierce. "With this ship," she declared, "we take our first step into a larger universe. We go not just as warriors, but as the defenders of innocence, the protectors of our future." As the champagne bottle broke against the ship's hull, cheers erupted around the world. For the first time since the terrible day of the abduction, real hope blossomed in human hearts. The Galactic Council had sought to end a threat. Instead, they had created something unprecedented, a humanity united, determined, and ready to challenge the stars themselves. As night fell on Earth, millions looked to the sky. Somewhere out there, their children waited. And now, finally, humanity had the means to reach them. The war for Earth's future was about to begin. The day of reckoning had arrived. After months of preparation, Earth was ready to launch its first attack against the Galactic Council. The EDF Avenger, humanity's pride and hope, stood ready on its launch pad, a gleaming testament to human determination and ingenuity. General Maria Chaves stood on the bridge, her face a mask of concentration. Around her, the crew, drawn from every nation on Earth, worked with quiet efficiency. Each person knew the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. This wasn't just a military mission, it was humanity's first step towards reclaiming their stolen children. "All systems are go," reported the ship's AI, its voice calm and steady. "FTL drive is primed and ready." General Chaves nodded. "Initiate launch sequence." On Earth, billions watched their screens as the Avenger rose into the sky. In New York, Sarah Johnson held her breath, thinking of her lost students. In Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka clutched a photo of his daughter Yuki, whispering the silent prayer. As the ship broke free of Earth's atmosphere, President Elena Rodriguez addressed the world. "Today, we take the fight to those who sought to break us. We go not just as warriors, but as parents, as brothers and sisters, as a united human race." The Avenger's FTL drive engaged, and in a flash of brilliant light, the ship vanished from Earth's solar system. For the first time in history, humans were truly among the stars. Hours later, in a distant part of the galaxy, the Avenger reappeared. Before them loomed a massive space station, their first target, a key Galactic Council outpost. "Battle stations," ordered General Chaves. "Remember your training. Remember why we're here." The element of surprise was on their side. The Galactic Council, in their arrogance, had never expected humans to reach them so quickly. As the Avenger approached, alarms blared across the alien station. Earth's attack was swift and precise. Hiroshi's combat robots, piloted remotely from Earth, poured out of the Avenger, their metallic bodies gleaming in the starlight. They breached the station's defenses with shocking ease, a testament to human ingenuity and the Council's complacency. Inside the station, chaos reigned. Alien beings, their forms strange and varied, scrambled to mount a defense. But they were unprepared for the fury and determination of the human assault. Dr. Yuki Chen, monitoring the battle from Earth, gasped as data flooded her screens. "The alien technology. It's beyond anything we imagined," she muttered, her fingers flying over her keyboard as she relayed crucial information to the attack force. On the Avengers Bridge, General Chaves watched the battle unfold with steely determination. "Press the advantage," she ordered. "We need to secure their databanks." As the fight raged on, James Smith led a specialized team deep into the heart of the station. Their mission: to extract any information about the location of Earth's stolen children. "We're in," James reported, his voice tense but controlled. "Downloading data now." But the Galactic Council wasn't about to give up easily. As alarms blared and emergency force fields sprang to life, a massive alien warship appeared out of hyperspace. "Incoming enemy vessel," shouted the Avengers' tactical officer. It's huge." General Chavez's eyes narrowed. This was the moment of truth. Could humanity's best stand against the full might of the Galactic Council? "All units, prepare for heavy combat," she ordered, her voice steady despite the danger. We didn't come this far to fail now. As the alien warship opened fire, the Avengers shuddered under the assault. But the human ship's shields, built with reverse-engineered alien tech, held firm. "Return fire," Chaves commanded. The Avengers' weapons blazed to life, lancing out across space to strike the alien vessel. To everyone's shock, the alien ship's shields buckled under the assault. A cheer went up on the Avengers' bridge. First blood to humanity. But the battle was far from over. As the two ships engaged in a deadly dance among the stars, James and his team raced to complete their mission and return to the Avenger. "Data secured," James reported, his voice strained. "But we're cut off from our exit point." On Earth, President Rodriguez paced in the war room, surrounded by advisors and screens showing the distant battle. "We can't lose them," she murmured. "Not when we're so close." As the fate of the mission hung in the balance, the true test of humanity's resolve was at hand. The Galactic Council had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they were feeling the full force of human determination. The battle raged on, a brilliant and terrible spectacle against the backdrop of infinite space. Earth had struck its first blow in this interstellar war. But would it be enough? And what consequences would this bold attack bring? As General Chavez prepared for the next phase of the battle, one thing was clear: the war for Earth's children had truly begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The news of Earth's successful attack on the Galactic Council outpost spread like wildfire across the cosmos. What had started as a single act of vengeance had now erupted into a full-scale intergalactic conflict. The galaxy watched in awe and fear as the supposedly primitive humans proved to be a force to be reckoned with. Back on Earth, the mood was a mix of celebration and grim determination. President Elena Rodriguez addressed a packed United Nations assembly, her voice firm and resolute. "We have struck the first blow, but our fight is far from over. Our children are still out there, and we will not rest until they are home." In the weeks that followed, Earth launched a series of daring raids on Galactic Council facilities. The EDF Avenger, now joined by sister ships Defender and Liberator, led the charge. General Maria Chavez coordinated the attacks from the newly established Lunar Command Center, her strategies a blend of human unpredictability and alien tech. But the Galactic Council was quick to retaliate. Massive alien fleets appeared at the edges of Earth's solar system, their ships darkening the skies of the outer planets. The war had truly come home. Dr. Yuki Chen worked tirelessly to improve Earth's defenses. In her lab beneath Mount Fuji, she pored over the data stolen from the Council outpost. "There's something here," she muttered, her eyes widening as she decoded a particularly complex file. A weakness in their shield technology. Meanwhile, James Smith led a covert team deep into enemy territory. Their mission: to find and liberate camps where Earth's children were believed to be held. On a distant moon, under the light of 3 alien suns, James and his team made a heartbreaking discovery. "We found them," he reported back to Earth, his voice choked with emotion. "But they're changed. The Council has been experimenting on them." The news sent shockwaves through Earth's population. Grief turned to rage, and the call for total war echoed across the planet. Recruitment centers were flooded with volunteers, and factories worked around the clock to produce more ships and weapons. Hiroshi Tanaka, driven by the thought of his daughter Yuki, made a breakthrough in combat robot design. His new creations, dubbed Guardians, were capable of taking on entire squads of alien troops. For Yuki, he whispered as the first Guardian rolled off the production line. And for all our children. As the conflict spread, Earth found unexpected allies. Other species, long oppressed by the Galactic Council, saw humanity's resistance as a chance for their own liberation. The Zor-Exa, a race of crystalline beings, offered their advanced cloaking technology. The Volcran, massive space-dwelling creatures, agreed to transport human fleets through their natural wormholes. Sarah Johnson, once a teacher and now a key strategist in understanding alien psychology, worked to forge these alliances. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore, she explained to a group of diplomats. We're fighting for freedom across the galaxy. The war took its toll on both sides. Planets were scared by battles. Entire species were caught in the crossfire. The Galactic Council, for the first time in millennia, found itself on the defensive. Their once unquestioned authority was crumbling in the face of human determination and the growing rebellion they had inspired. In a bold move, Earth forces managed to capture a high-ranking council member. The alien, a being of swirling energy contained in a metallic suit, was brought to a secret facility for questioning. General Chaves herself led the interrogation. Why? She demanded, her voice hard as steel. Why take our children? The alien's response sent chills down every human spine. To save the galaxy from you. As the implications of this statement sank in, Earth's leaders realized the war was about more than just rescuing their children. It was a fight for humanity's very right to exist among the stars. President Rodriguez called an emergency meeting of Earth's top military and scientific minds. We need to understand what the Council knows about us, she said, her face grim. And we need to prove them wrong. As the meeting stretched into the night, reports came in of a massive Council fleet gathering at the edge of the solar system. The biggest battle of the war was looming, and Earth would need every ounce of courage and ingenuity to survive. In homes and bunkers across the planet, humans looked to the stars with a mix of fear and hope. The moment of truth had arrived. Earth's united fleet, led by the battleships Avenger, Defender, and Liberator, faced the vast armada of the Galactic Council. The void of space crackled with tension as the two forces squared off near the orbit of Saturn. On the bridge of the Avenger, General Maria Chaves surveyed the enemy fleet. Her face was grim but determined. All ships, battle stations, she ordered. Remember what we're fighting for. The battle erupted in a dazzling display of energy weapons and explosions. Human ingenuity clashed with alien technology in a struggle that would determine the fate of the galaxy. Back on Earth, President Elena Rodriguez watched from the war room, surrounded by advisors and holographic displays. Status report, she demanded, her voice tense. Dr. Yuki Chen's voice came through the comm. Madam President, we're implementing the shield disruption technique. It's working, but the Council is adapting quickly. As the space battle raged, James Smith led a daring infiltration mission. His team, including Hiroshi Tanaka piloting an advanced Guardian robot, slipped past the Council's defenses. Their target, the massive command ship at the heart of the alien fleet. We're in, James whispered into his comm, moving towards the central chamber. Inside the Council ship, they encountered something unexpected. Rows upon rows of stasis pods lined the walls, each containing the sleeping human child. Hiroshi's metallic hands trembled as he placed them on one of the pods. Yuki, he breathed, recognizing his daughter. Suddenly, a voice boomed through the chamber. Humans, it said, you have come far. A being of pure energy materialized before them, its form shifting and swirling. I am the Prime Counselor, the being announced. We took your children not out of cruelty, but necessity. James stepped forward, his weapon raised. Explain, he demanded. The Prime Counselor's form flickered. Your species has a unique gift, the ability to dream, to imagine, to create. It is a power greater than any technology. We sought to harness it, to save our dying universe. As this revelation was transmitted back to Earth, Sarah Johnson gasped in realization. The children's imagination, she said. They were using it as a power source. The battle outside took a sudden turn. The human fleet, empowered by the shield disruption technique, began to gain the upper hand. Alien ships fell one by one to Earth's weapons. In the Council ship, the Prime Counselor continued, "We underestimated you. Your love for your children, your determination, it is a force we never accounted for." Hiroshi, still at Yuki's pod, spoke up. "You had no right," he said, his voice shaking with emotion. "They're not yours to take." Back on the Avenger, General Chaves received a transmission from James. Her eyes widened as she heard the Prime Counselor's explanation. In that moment, she made a decision that would change the course of the war. "All ships, cease fire," she ordered. The human fleet fell silent, weapons powering down. "What are you doing?" President Rodriguez demanded from Earth. "Ending this war," Chaves replied. She opened a channel to the Prime Counselor. "We have a proposal," she said. In the hours that followed, an unprecedented negotiation took place. The children would be returned, unharmed. In exchange, Earth would share its culture, its art, its dreams, willingly and peacefully. "We don't need to steal imagination," Chaves explained. "We can share it, learn from each other." The Prime Counselor, after much deliberation, agreed. "Perhaps," it said, "this is the solution we have sought for eons." As the stasis pods were opened and children reunited with their families, tears of joy flowed across the galaxy. The war was over, not with a final battle, but with an understanding. Months later, on a rebuilt Earth, a new era dawned. Humans walked side by side with alien beings, sharing stories and dreams. The Galactic Council was reformed, with Earth holding a seat of honor. President Rodriguez, in her address to the First Intergalactic Assembly, summed up the journey. "We came to the stars seeking vengeance," she said. "We found understanding instead. Our children were taken, but in saving them, we have saved so much more. The universe is vast, but imagination knows no bounds. Together, we will dream up a future brighter than any of us could have imagined alone." As night fell on Earth, families looked up at the stars not with fear, but with wonder. The galaxy was no longer a battlefield, but a playground for human imagination. And somewhere out there, the children of Earth were leading the way into a new age of cosmic cooperation and creativity. The end of the war marked not just the return of Earth's children, but the birth of a new galactic family. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. The future, once so dark, now shone with the light of billions of dreams, human and alien alike.